I introduced all the speakers, and I thought, how am I going to do this? Am I going to read my own bio, or do I have Michael do it? I thought, how do I do this? So as I was coming over today in the shuttle from the hotel, the gentleman asked me, where I was going, what I was doing, and I was dressed in a suit and semi-professional looking. And he said, "You must be somebody important." Well, thank you, I appreciate that. I jokingly said back, I used to be. So instead of reading your bio, I'm going to tell you my story about how I got here. So the lead up to my presentation right here has been perfect. The segue is absolutely great, and I am here to talk to you about procurement's role in the future of talent management and how to hire, engage, and retain sourcing talent with an intergenerational workforce. So full disclosure, 2 years ago, I didn't even know procurement even existed. I am new to procurement. But working for SIG, I work in the same office as our president and CEO, Don Tura. So I have been on a learning curve that is steep. I like to joke that I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hydrant as far as knowledge. I come to all these events. I listen to all the webinars. So I feel like in a year and a half, I have packed a lot of knowledge into this little head. So anyways, getting back to how did I get here? I used to be, in my previous life, I always joke, but I was vice president of Citibank. I managed a sales force back in the mortgage heyday. I was a subprime mortgage. That's a bad word now. Subprime. I was a subprime mortgage wholesaler. Yeah, it wasn't my fault. Yeah. Love that reaction. Yes. I was still actually employed doing that in 2008. Who else can say they were a subprime mortgage wholesaler in 2008? So, anyways, I got laid off along with 100,000, 200,000 other people. Whatever. Don't feel too bad for me. They gave me a nice going away package. So, anyways, I had 6 months of leave, and what was I going to do with my life? So I picked up. And I moved. I moved the family. I've got a wife and 2 kids, a baby at the time who was 8 years old. And we moved to Amelia Island, where we had our last summit. And we bought a preschool. To this day, we own a preschool. I'm here as a preschool owner. And my wife, if she does watch this video, she is probably going to kill me to say actually I'm affiliated with it. I haven't stepped inside the doors of there in 2 or 3 years. I love kids. I'm that guy that gets the kids all riled up and no, they want them to take naps. So I own a preschool, and then that got up and going, and I started another business. I own a payday loan company, a little small cash advance on the island. So it was a reason to wake up and dress and get out of the house and not be around 4-year-olds all day. So Dawn Tura is a friend of mine, and if you were here last year, you met her. You've at least heard her. She does all the webinars. If you've met her once, you definitely remember. She knows my wife, and she posted on social media that she was looking for a salesperson. Now, I know her kids. I coach football, baseball, you name it. I volunteer for everything. I can't say no. It's better than working. So, how I got here was she posted on Facebook that she was looking for a salesperson. I said, Dawn, I'm a salesperson. I used to be in my previous life. The heck do you sell? What do you do? What is SIG? And that's always awkward when you're in procurement and people ask what you do. It's not a 2-second answer, is it? I mean, it's usually a pretty long explanation. That's why the guy this morning in the cab, when he asked me what I did, I didn't even say procurement. I just, he said I look like somebody important, and I said, yeah, I just went with it. So that's how I got here. So I've been doing this for a year and a half. So I don't have, I'm not a practitioner or have not been like you. I haven't been in an actual office, but I am speaking today about talent and talent management. And I have managed large sales forces for most recently Citibank, but a couple of smaller companies too. So I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've worked for smaller companies. There's advantages and disadvantages in both. So that's why I'm here to talk about this today. And looking around the room, we've got a pretty good cross section of ages, generations. And in your workplace, whether it's a preschool or whether it's a Huntington National Bank, you've got millennials in the workforce, you've got Gen Y, you've got baby boomers. And those baby boomers, there's good news and there's bad news about the baby boomers, right? How do I say this without offending anybody, but they are, they're going to be moving on through attrition, retirement, you name it, they're going to be moving on. That's the good news. The bad news is, with them, is they're taking away all their knowledge, all their expertise. There's going to be a huge drain on talent. And who's going to replace them? The millennials. Millennials, I heard a statistic that by, say, 2020, half of the workforce is going to be millennials. Be careful.
No, my son.
Be careful. Now, I told you my story about starting at SIG. SIG hired 2 other people in the same day as me, Allie and Ashley, two millennials. So the good thing about not having a procurement background was I started with 2 other people that didn't either really. So it was nice, and I started out with 2 millennials, and I have got to say they both, and they're going to watch this, they both defy the stereotypes about the millennials. They've been a pleasure to work with, but you got to treat them different. They are completely different than the generation that we're used to. I say we. I guess I'm a baby boomer. You've got to totally train them different. They're not going to work at your company for 10 years. They're not going to work for 15 years. They're not going to hang around for the gold watch. Does anybody still even do that? Is that still something that's out there? Yeah? Yeah. Most likely, they're not going to be around for that. What do millennials like to do? What does this younger generation like to do?
Text.
Well, they're not looking for that job security. They're not looking for a 10 or 12-year job. They're looking for projects. They're looking to be challenged. It's nothing for them to be on a job for 18 months, 19 months, 20 months. And the reason I share my story is I have hired lots of people. I've been in front of a lot of people, not necessarily procurement, but I've got a background for that. So that's where my area of expertise is coming from, in hiring and training and keeping this new generation happy. It's not necessarily a new generation. I've dived right in myself. A year and a half ago, I did not have a Twitter account. I had Facebook, but loosely posted a few things. I did have a LinkedIn. I had the free LinkedIn account, but didn't know what Twitter is. And I am required by my job to tweet. I learned. I'm actually the company's biggest tweeter in terms of tweets. I went from not having an account to, and your company loves me because I always put @Arriba on there. They always follow me and retweet me and stuff. Half the time I don't even know. Well, I didn't used to know what I was tweeting, but I was doing it. I was there. That's the event. I'd take a picture of the slide. I'd tweet it out. It's a different generation. These younger people, they are used to getting information fast, quickly. They're used to multitasking. The baby boomers, you forget, they used to write a letter, stick it in the mail, wait for a response. You've got these different generations in the workforce, and it's how do you keep them all, motivated, hired, and trained up? It's a challenge. So who in this room has an excess of talent? Anybody out there's got just an absolute abundance of talent in their organization? Which organization has an overabundance of talent that they have? I've heard it all throughout the day. We're looking for people. We post them on SIG's website. It's imperative that you find these people, whether it's through a SIG, the SIG interns or however you do it. 85% of people that intern with your company will actually work with your company. SIG did hire one of those interns from the summit. One of the girls from NC State, and she helped write a ton of the curriculum for the SIG University that's coming out. So there's good people there. There's different ways to do it. So I'm going to talk a lot today about innovation and how it affects the people that are actually working for us, or for you, I should say. So how does innovation help us? Let's see. I'm going to go through a couple of fun facts. This is anybody ever go to that Did You Know website I think it's on YouTube? These are some Did You Know facts. So here's just a couple of interesting facts. The top 10 in-demand jobs in 2010 did not exist in 2004. App developers, social media experts, any other guesses what some of the positions might have been that weren't around? Exactly. So what we're doing now, we are currently preparing students for jobs that don't exist, using technologies that have not been invented yet in order to solve problems we don't even know that we have yet. Interesting challenge, right? Did you know? If you're 1 in a million in China, this is one of my favorites. If you're 1 in a million in China, there are 1,300 people just like you. If you are not paying attention to what's going on in China, you're missing the boat. We're actually going to have, we're partnering with a Chinese university or a university in China. We're going to have some Chinese students at our next summit in Huntington Beach. And I just heard that. I'm not probably not doing it justice. It'd help if I had the name, but I just literally heard that as I was leaving the office. So, China will soon become the #1 English-speaking country in the world. Isn't that amazing? There'll be more people in China speaking English than there are in America. You know, I've got a 14-year-old son, who has kids or not, but teenagers. Holy cow! I mean, I fear for him competing against the world. Think about it. I think of myself. Could you have gotten the same jobs you had gotten with the education you have now? I don't know. I mean, you're competing against. I've got a college degree, but it's almost. That's almost like the equivalent of a high school diploma now. I fear for these kids. They need all the education they can. They're competing against on a worldwide basis, and you as employers are competing against other employers to find them. These are exponential times. Google. There are over 34,000 Google searches per second. Do the math on that. It's 3 billion searches per day, or 88 billion Google searches per month. 2006, there were only 2.6 billion Google searches. These are exponential times. Things are changing. 3,000% growth in 6 years. So to whom were these questions addressed? BG, before Google. What do we use? We use encyclopedias, libraries. Your kids even know what encyclopedias are. Mine don't. Technological innovations have impacted us faster than any other type. First text, 1994. Anybody know what it said?
Can you hear me now?
It said Merry Christmas. It was from a NASA engineer in 1994. Today, the number of texts sent each day exceeds the number of people on the planet. Think about that. I mean, that's how many people don't text. So there's a lot of text going out there. More text than people on the planet. Remember they used to charge you per text or per minute? Now it's almost all unlimited. Okay. To reach an audience of 50 million people took 38 years. For what medium? Anybody want to guess? Took 38 years to reach 50 million people.
Newspaper.
Good guess.
TV.
Better guess. Radio. 38 years to reach 50 million people. 13 years? TV. 4 years?
Newspaper.
The internet. 3 years? Nobody will get this one. This one's a hard one. The iPad? iPod, I'm sorry. Did you say iPad or iPod?
iPod.
2 years. Anybody know? Somebody should guess this one. Social
iPhone.
media?
Cell phone.
Facebook. Facebook. In 2 years, Facebook reached over 50 million people. There are about 540,000 words in the English language. That's more than 5 times the amount that during Shakespeare's days. I mean, there's just so much information out there, so much innovation. It's estimated that a week's worth of the New York Times contained more information than a person would likely come across in their entire lifetime in the 18th century. If Wikipedia were made into a book, it would be 2.25 million pages long. It would take over 123 years to read. So the amount of technological information is doubling every 2 years. What's that mean? If you're in school for a 4-year degree, by your 3rd year, half of what you've learned is already obsolete. It's going to be outdated by your 3rd year. Innovation has redefined everything we do. Did you know? There's never been a bigger force in change than technology. It changes everything. It changes how we shop. Who swore that they would never put their credit card online and shop online? Amazon, my have they started doing the drone deliveries? I think that's